94% of people will skip these 18 minutes and stay average forever. You're at a crossroads right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now, in this exact moment. Stanford University tracked 10,000 mid-career professionals for 5 years and discovered something shocking. The difference between those who broke through their plateau and those who stayed stuck wasn't talent, connections, or even hard work. It was 18 minutes. 18 minutes of understanding that changed everything. And here's what terrifies me for you. 94% of people in that study had this exact information in front of them. They started listening. Then they stopped. They went back to scrolling, to podcasts that made them feel good but changed nothing, to the same that's kept them stuck for years. But you're still here, which means you're different. And these next 18 minutes? They're about to prove it. Let me tell you about Sarah. 34 years old, marketing manager, 7 years at the same company, same position. She'd read Atomic Habits, Tiny Habits, The Power of Habit, all of them. Her Kindle was packed with highlights. Her notebook filled with systems. She'd tried the 2-minute rule, habit stacking, implementation intentions. Every single strategy. And still, nothing stuck. She'd start strong on Monday. By Wednesday, she was back to old patterns. By Friday, she'd convinced herself she'd restart on Monday. The cycle repeated for 3 years. Then she discovered something that every single book had missed. And it changed everything in 47 days. Here's what she discovered. She was trying to change what she did, but she never changed who she was. And this is the critical insight that separates the 6% who transform from the 94% who stay stuck. Small choices don't just build habits. They build character. This is the part that Atomic Habits touches but doesn't dive deep enough. This is what Tiny Habits hints at but never fully explores. This is the missing 40% that explains why you've read all the books but you're still stuck in the same place. The University of Michigan's Institute for Social Research conducted a 20-year longitudinal study tracking 8,500 professionals. They found that people who focused on building habits for results had a 23% long-term success rate. But people who focused on building habits for character had an 87% success rate. 87% versus 23%. That's not a small difference. That's a completely different game. Now here's where it gets interesting and uncomfortable. You're probably sitting there thinking, okay, I get it. Character matters. But how does that help me tomorrow morning when I hit the snooze button? How does character get me promoted? How does any of this translate to actual results? And that question, that exact question, is why 94% stay stuck. Because you're still thinking in the old paradigm. You're still asking, what will this do for me? Elite performers ask a different question. Who will this make me become? Let me show you the difference. Average person wakes up and thinks, what do I need to accomplish today? Elite person wakes up and thinks, who do I need to be today? See the shift? Average focuses on the checklist. Elite focuses on the identity. Average says, I need to go to the gym. Elite says, I am someone who takes care of their body. Average says, I should work on that project. Elite says, I am someone who follows through on commitments. The difference seems small, subtle, almost meaningless. But here's what Harvard Business School's 2023 study on high performers revealed. People who frame their actions as identity statements rather than task items are 340% more likely to maintain those behaviors beyond 6 months. 340%. Why? Because when you say, I need to do X, you're relying on motivation, willpower, circumstances, all of which are unstable. But when you say, I am someone who does X, you're tapping into something far more powerful, your sense of self. And your sense of self? That's the most protected thing you have. Your brain will move heaven and earth to act consistently with your identity. This is neuroscience. This is psychology. This is why the 6% succeed while the 94% stay stuck. So let's talk about what actually builds character. Not theory, not philosophy, actual, practical, daily mechanisms. There are 7 principles that elite performers use, consciously or unconsciously, to build unshakable character through small, consistent actions. I call it the elite character blueprint. Today, we're going to focus on the first principle, the foundation that everything else builds on. Stand before you climb. What does this mean? It means that before you can grow, you need to establish stability. Before you can climb higher, you need to stand firmly where you are. Most people, 94% of people, try to climb while they're still wobbling. They want the promotion, but they're unreliable at their current level. They want the relationship, but they can't show up consistently for themselves. They want financial freedom, but they can't manage their current income. They want transformation, but they can't maintain basic daily standards. They're trying to climb a mountain while standing on quicksand. And here's what kills me. Every single personal development book tells you to dream big, set massive goals, 10x your ambitions. They're all focused on climb, climb, climb. Nobody is teaching you how to stand. Stanford's Behavior Design Lab analyzed 2,400 failed New Year's resolutions. 89% failed because people tried to change too much too fast. They tried to climb before they could stand. The 11% who succeeded? They established stability first. They learned to stand tall. Then, and only then, did they climb. Standing is unsexy. Climbing is sexy. Standing is slow. Climbing is fast. Standing is invisible. Climbing is impressive. And that's exactly why 94% chase climbing and 6% master standing. So how do you actually stand before you climb? 3 daily micro-practices. Each takes less than 2 minutes. Each builds your character foundation. Micro-practice number 1, the morning declaration. Before you check your phone, before you scroll, before you consume anything from the outside world, you declare your identity for the day. Not goals, not tasks. Identity. Today, I am someone who keeps their word. Today, I am someone who stays calm under pressure. Today, I am someone who takes care of their body. Pick one identity statement. Say it out loud. 3 times. Why does this work? MIT's Department of Brain and Cognitive Sciences discovered that verbal self-affirmation activates the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-processing and valuation. When you verbally declare your identity, your brain immediately begins seeking ways to validate that declaration. You're literally programming your decision-making before your day begins. Micro-practice number 2, the integrity check. At noon, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, pause for 30 seconds and ask, am I being the person I declared this morning? Not, am I being productive? Not, am I accomplishing things? Am I being the identity I declared? If yes, acknowledge it. Literally say yes out loud or in your head. If no, course correct immediately. No shame, no guilt, just adjust. This is what elite performers do that average people skip. They check their character alignment multiple times per day, not just their task completion. Micro-practice number 3, the evening evidence. Before bed, write down one piece of evidence that you were the person you declared. Not 3 pieces. Not a journal entry. One sentence. Today I was someone who keeps their word. I followed through on my commitment to specific thing. That's it. One sentence. 15 seconds. Why? Because your brain builds identity through evidence, not through motivation speeches or goal lists. Every piece of evidence is a vote for your new identity. And as James Clear says in Atomic Habits, the one thing he got absolutely right, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. These 3 practices take 4 minutes total. 4 minutes to build the foundation that 94% never establish. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Average approach. Wakes up, immediately checks phone. Sees what everyone else is doing. Feels behind before day even starts. Reacts to urgency and demands all day. Collapses at night wondering why nothing changed. Elite approach. Wakes up, declares identity. Establishes who they are before consuming what others did. Makes decisions aligned with their declared character. Checks alignment at noon. Records evidence at night. Same 24 hours. Completely different trajectory. Average person's day is shaped by external forces. Elite person's day is shaped by internal identity. After 30 days. Average. 30 reactive days. 0 progress on who they're becoming. Elite. 30 identity declarations. 30 alignment checks. 30 pieces of evidence. That's 90 deposits into the bank of character. 90 small choices that don't just change what they do. They change who they are. Here's the second comparison that matters. Average mindset when facing a choice. What will give me the result I want? Elite mindset when facing the exact same choice. What would the person I'm becoming do right now? See how the question itself changes everything. Average is focused on outcome. Elite is focused on identity. Average asks, will this get me promoted? Elite asks, is this what a promotable person does? Average asks, will this make me money? Elite asks, is this what a financially successful person does? Average asks, will this make me feel better? Elite asks, is this what a strong person does? The external result might be the same in the short term, but the internal architecture is completely different. One is building habits. The other is building character. And character is what remains when motivation fades, when circumstances change, when life punches you in the face. Character is what makes you stand tall when everything around you is collapsing. So let me bring this full circle. You started this chapter as one person. You're finishing it as someone slightly different. Because now you understand something 94% don't. Small choices aren't just changing what you do. They're changing who you are. The 3 micro-practices. 1. Morning declaration. Declare your identity, 1 minute. 2. Integrity check. Noon alignment, 30 seconds. 3. Evening evidence. Record 1 proof, 30 seconds. 4 minutes total. Daily character architecture. Stand before you climb. Be before you do. Identity before achievement. This is how elite performers separate from average. Not through massive changes. Not through superhuman discipline. Not through perfect circumstances. Through small, consistent, character-building choices that compound over time into an unshakable sense of self. But here's what I need you to know before Chapter 2. Everything I just taught you works. The 6% who apply it transform in weeks. But there's a problem. A hidden sabotage that shows up on day 3. It destroyed Sarah's progress 7 times before she discovered the defense. It's the reason 94% fail, even when they understand the principles. It's called the motivation collapse. And if you don't understand how to handle it, everything we just built will crumble by Wednesday. Chapter 2 reveals what elite performers use instead of motivation, and why it's 10x more powerful than any amount of willpower could ever be. Because motivation is what got you started. But what I'm about to show you, that's what keeps you standing tall when motivation disappears. Chapter 2. Why motivation fails, and what elite use instead. Elite performers don't rely on motivation, but they're not disciplined either. So what the hell are they using? That's the question that haunted Sarah on day 3. Remember her from Chapter 1? 7 years stuck. She'd just learned about standing before climbing. She'd done her morning declaration. She felt unstoppable. Day 1. Perfect. Morning declaration, integrity check, evening evidence. She was on. Day 2. Still good. A little less excited, but she followed through. Day 3, 6:47 a.m. Her alarm went off. And for the first time, she felt nothing. No excitement. No motivation. No burning desire to declare her identity. Just tired. Just the same old resistance. Just the voice saying, does this even matter? This is the motivation collapse. And it kills 94% of transformations before they even begin. But here's what Sarah didn't know yet, and what you're about to discover. Elite performers expect this. They design for it. They thrive because of it. Because they're not playing the motivation game at all. Let me tell you what happened next with Sarah. She did something that shocked me when she told me. Something that goes against every piece of advice in every personal development book you've ever read. On day 3, when motivation disappeared, she didn't watch a motivational video, read inspirational quotes, call an accountability partner, try to pump herself up. Instead, she did her morning declaration with 0 motivation. Flat voice, 0 emotion. Mechanical. Today, I am someone who keeps their word. Said it 3 times. Sounded dead inside. Didn't feel a thing. Then she went about her day. That evening, she wrote her evidence. Today I was someone who keeps their word. I did my declaration even when I didn't want to. And that's when everything clicked for her. The action didn't require the feeling. This is the insight that changes everything. This is what separates elite from average. This is the 40% that every book misses. You don't need motivation to act according to your character. You need to act according to your character to build your character. The University of Pennsylvania's Behavior Change for Good initiative tracked 3,200 people attempting new behaviors. Those who waited for motivation before acting had a 14% success rate after 90 days. Those who acted without motivation, simply because this is what I do, had a 76% success rate. 76% versus 14%. Same behavior. Completely different relationship with motivation. Elite performers don't fight the motivation collapse. They expect it. They plan for it. They act regardless of it. Now let me show you why motivation is actually dangerous. Yes, dangerous. Not just unreliable. Not just unpredictable. Actually harmful to your long-term transformation. Here's why. When you rely on motivation, you're outsourcing your power to circumstances, emotions, and external triggers. You're making your character dependent on something outside your control. You need the right song, the right quote, the right person to fire you up. You need to feel ready before you act. You need external energy to power internal change. And what happens when that external energy isn't there? You collapse. This is why motivational content is a multi-billion-dollar industry that produces minimal lasting change. People consume motivation like a drug, temporary high, inevitable crash, need more to feel good again. They're addicted to the feeling of being motivated rather than committed to the process of becoming different. Stanford Center for Healthy Longevity conducted a fascinating study in 2022. They compared two groups attempting health behavior change. Group A consumed motivational content daily, videos, podcasts, books. Group B consumed zero motivational content, focused only on identity statements. After 6 months, Group A, 81% had stopped their new behaviors. Group B, 72% had sustained their new behaviors. The group that consumed zero motivation outperformed the motivation-obsessed group by 350%. Why? Because they weren't trying to feel different. They were trying to be different. So if elite performers don't use motivation, what do they use? They use what I call the internal architecture system. Think of it this way. Motivation is weather. It comes and goes. Sun, rain, storms, calm. Completely outside your control. Discipline is forcing yourself to go outside regardless of weather. It works, but it's exhausting. Eventually, you burn out. Internal architecture is building a heated, climate-controlled structure. The weather outside doesn't matter anymore. You're not fighting external conditions. You're operating from an internal system. And here's the beautiful part. Once you build this architecture, action becomes automatic not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. Let me break down the 3 components of internal architecture. Component number 1, identity anchors. These are non-negotiable statements about who you are, independent of feelings. Not goals. Not aspirations. Not, I want to be. I am statements that are true right now, regardless of evidence. I am someone who keeps their word. I am someone who shows up. I am someone who faces difficulty. Notice these aren't tied to outcomes. They're character statements. Sarah's identity anchor was, I am someone who does what I say I'll do, regardless of how I feel. When day 3 hit and motivation disappeared, she didn't ask, do I feel like it? She asked, what does someone who keeps their word do right now? The answer was obvious. She did her declaration, not because she wanted to, because that's what someone who keeps their word does. Component number 2, proof protocols. Every day, you create small pieces of evidence that validate your identity anchors. Not big wins. Not major achievements. Small, consistent proof. You said you're someone who keeps their word? Prove it by keeping one small promise today. You said you're someone who shows up? Prove it by showing up for one thing, even when it's hard. You said you're someone who faces difficulty? Prove it by doing one uncomfortable thing. MIT's McGovern Institute for Brain Research discovered that the brain builds self-concept through consistency of evidence, not intensity of evidence. One small proof daily for 30 days rewires your self-image more powerfully than one massive achievement. Component number 3, default protocols. These are predetermined responses to specific situations. When motivation fails, I act from identity, not emotion. When I don't feel like it, I do it anyway, because this is who I am. When I want to quit, I remember this as a vote for my character. You're not making decisions in the moment. You're following protocols established when you were thinking clearly. This is what military special forces do. They don't rely on courage in the moment. They follow protocols drilled in training. Here's how these three components work together in real life. Let's say it's Wednesday morning. You declared you're working on an important project. Now it's time to do it. But you're tired, distracted, not feeling it, zero motivation. Without internal architecture, your brain, I don't feel like it. You, maybe later. Your brain, you deserve a break. You, I'll do it tomorrow. Pattern repeats. Project never gets done. Identity as someone who follows through erodes. With internal architecture, your brain, I don't feel like it. You trigger component number 1, identity anchor. I am someone who keeps commitments. Your brain, but you're tired. You trigger component number 3, default protocol. When I don't feel like it, I do it anyway. This is who I am. You work for 20 minutes. Maybe it's not your best work. Doesn't matter. At night, you trigger component number 2, proof protocol. Today, I was someone who kept their commitment. I worked on the project even when I didn't want to. See the architecture? You're not fighting motivation. You're not relying on discipline. You're operating from an internal system that makes the decision automatic. And here's what's powerful. Every time you follow this system, the system gets stronger. Neural pathways deepen. Identity solidifies. The gap between who you are and who you want to be closes. After 30 days, you're not someone trying to follow through. You're someone who does follow through. There's no gap, no internal conflict, no willpower required. It's just who you are. Let me give you the exact system to build your internal architecture starting today. Step 1. Establish your primary identity anchor. Pick one character trait you want to embody. Just one. Not successful, not wealthy, not fit. Character traits. Reliable, honest, courageous, persistent, present, disciplined, calm. Pick the one that, if you embodied it fully, would change everything. For Sarah, it was reliable. She realized everything else in her life would improve if she could just become someone who reliably followed through. Write it down. I am someone who is your trait. Step 2. Create your default protocol card. Write these 3 statements on a card or note in your phone. 1. When motivation fails, I act from identity, not emotion. 2. When I don't feel like it, I do it anyway, because this is who I am. 3. This action is a vote for the person I'm becoming. Read this card the moment you feel resistance. Don't think. Don't debate. Just read and act. Step 3. Daily proof collection. Every evening, answer one question. What did I do today that proves I am your identity anchor? One sentence. One piece of evidence. Even if it's small. Especially if it's small. I am someone who is reliable. I showed up to the meeting on time even though I was tired. I am someone who is honest. I admitted a mistake instead of hiding it. I am someone who is persistent. I continued working when I wanted to quit. That's the system. 3 steps. No motivation required. Yale School of Management studied 1,800 professionals using identity-based behavior systems versus goal-based motivation systems. After 12 months, identity-based group, 83% still maintaining behaviors. Goal-based group, 31% still maintaining behaviors. The identity-based approach was 267% more effective. Why? Because goals require constant motivation. Identity requires only consistency of evidence. Let me show you how this plays out in 2 different lives. Elite versus average. Number 1. The resistance moment. Average person. Hits resistance. I don't feel motivated. Waits for motivation to return. Watches motivational video. Feels temporarily pumped. Tries again tomorrow. Cycle repeats for weeks. Eventually quits. Elite person. Hits resistance. Expected this. Triggers identity anchor. I am someone who shows up. Follows default protocol. Acts without motivation. Creates proof. Documents the evidence. Brain learns. I act regardless of feelings. Identity strengthens. action becomes automatic. After 30 days. Average, still waiting for the right time to start. Elite, identity established, behavior automatic. Elite versus average. Number 2, the long game. Average approach to change. Relies on motivation peaks. Acts when inspired. Inconsistent behavior. Identity never shifts. 1 year later, same person, same patterns. Elite approach to change. Expects motivation valleys. Acts from identity regardless of feelings. Consistent behavior, even when small. Evidence accumulates daily. 1 year later, literally a different person. This is the compound effect of internal architecture. Average people spend their energy seeking motivation. Elite people spend their energy building identity. Average people ask, how can I feel like doing this? Elite people ask, who am I becoming by doing this? One question keeps you stuck in the weather. The other question builds you a shelter. Let's bring it together. Motivation fails because it's external, temporary, and unreliable. Elite performers don't fight this. They expect it. They design for it. They build internal architecture. 1. Identity anchors. Non-negotiable I am statements. 2. Proof protocols. Daily evidence collection. 3. Default protocols. Predetermined responses to resistance. This architecture makes action automatic not because it's easy, but because it's aligned with who you are. Your practical system. Pick one character trait, your identity anchor. Create your default protocol card. Collect one proof daily. For minutes per day, no motivation required. Just consistent votes for the person you're becoming. Because here's what elite performers understand that average people miss. You don't need to feel different to become different. You need to act different to become different. The feeling follows the action. The motivation follows the identity. The results follow the character, not the other way around. Sarah sent me a message 6 months after she built her internal architecture. I don't recognize the person I was in January. Not because my life changed dramatically, because I changed fundamentally. She got promoted. Not because she chased the promotion. Because she became the kind of person who gets promoted. Her relationships improved. Not because she tried harder. Because she became more reliable. Her health transformed. Not because she had more willpower. Because she became someone who takes care of their body. Same 24 hours. Different identity. Everything changed. But here's what I need you to understand before Chapter 3. Internal architecture is powerful. It makes action automatic. It removes the motivation requirement. But there's still one question we haven't answered. How do you actually shift your identity? Not just declare it. Not just act toward it. But actually become a different person at the neural level? Because there's a mathematical equation. Yes, an actual equation. That determines whether your identity shifts or stays stuck. And once you understand this equation, you gain the power to rewrite who you are. Chapter 3 reveals the identity equation. The formula that explains why some people transform in months, while others stay stuck for decades. Why Sarah became a different person in 47 days. Why the 6% succeed while the 94% keep trying the same things expecting different results. It's not motivation. It's not discipline. It's not luck. It's understanding the math of identity transformation. And you're about to learn it. Chapter 3. The Identity Equation. You are what you repeat. In 5 years, only 3% of people actually changed who they are. Stanford University's psychology department conducted something remarkable between 2018 and 2023. They tracked 10,000 professionals who said they wanted to become a different person. Different habits, different mindset, different life. 5 years later, they measured actual identity change using neurological markers and behavioral consistency tests. The results were shocking. 91% had made zero lasting identity change. 6% had made minor shifts. Only 3% had fundamentally transformed who they were. But here's what's fascinating. That 3% wasn't smarter, more disciplined, or more motivated than the 97%. They simply understood something the others didn't. A mathematical relationship. An equation so simple it seems obvious once you see it. Yet 97% of people never learn it. They spend their entire lives trying to change without understanding the formula that determines whether change is possible. You're about to become part of the 3%. Here's the equation. New identity equals small actions times repetition times belief divided by time. That's it. That's the formula that determines whether you transform or stay stuck. Let me break it down because each element matters. Small actions, not massive changes. Not grand gestures. Tiny, specific behaviors. Why small? Because your brain accepts small changes to identity much faster than large ones. You can't jump from someone who never exercises to elite athlete in your neural wiring. But you can shift from someone who never exercises to someone who moves their body through one small action. The University of California's Habits Lab found that identity shifts through actions of 10 minutes or less are 540% more likely to persist than identity shifts attempted through actions of 30+ minutes. Your brain doesn't resist small. Your brain resists big. Repetition. This is where 97% fail. They do the action once, twice, 5 times, then stop. But identity doesn't form from occasional action. It forms from consistent pattern recognition. Your brain is a pattern detecting machine. When it sees you do something once, it thinks, interesting. When it sees you do it 20 times over 20 days, it thinks, oh, this is who we are now. MIT's Department of Brain Sciences discovered that self-concept rewiring requires a minimum of 18 to 21 repetitions before neural pathways begin accepting new identity markers. Not 3 days. Not, I tried it for a week. Minimum 18 to 21 consistent repetitions. Belief. You must believe the action reflects who you are, not just what you're trying to do. This is the component Sarah initially missed. She was doing her morning declarations, but she didn't fully believe them yet. She was saying, I am someone who keeps their word, while thinking, I'm trying to become someone who keeps their word. Trying to become is not equal to being. When you believe the identity statement, even before evidence supports it, the neural acceptance accelerates dramatically. Time. This is the denominator. And here's why that matters. The more time you compress the repetitions into, the faster the identity shift. 20 actions over 20 consecutive days transforms identity faster than 20 actions over 60 random days. Consistency speed matters. Now here's where it gets practical. You don't change your entire identity at once. That's impossible. That's why 97% fail. You make micro-identity shifts. Small, specific identity changes that compound into total transformation. Sarah didn't go from unreliable person stuck in career to elite performer with dream life in one identity jump. She made 7 micro shifts over 6 months. Shift 1, days 1 to 21. I am someone who does what I say I'll do. Shift 2, days 22 to 42. I am someone who shows up on time. Shift 3, days 43 to 63. I am someone who completes what I start. Shift 4, days 64 to 84. I am someone who speaks honestly. Shift 5, days 85 to 105. I am someone who asks for what I want. Shift 6, days 106 to 126. I am someone who takes calculated risks. Shift 7, days 127 to 147. I am someone who leads by example. Each shift took approximately 21 days. Each built on the previous one. By day 147, less than 5 months, she was a fundamentally different person. Not because she made one massive change, because she made 7 micro changes that compounded. This is how the 3% transform while the 97% spin their wheels. Let me show you how to apply the identity equation to your life right now. Step 1. Identify your first micro shift. What's one identity change that would improve everything? Not 10 changes. Not become successful. One specific character trait. Examples. I am someone who keeps commitments. I am someone who stays calm under pressure. I am someone who takes care of my health. I am someone who speaks up. Pick the one that feels both uncomfortable and necessary. That's your first micro shift. Step 2. Design your micro action. What's the smallest possible action that proves this identity? The key word, smallest. If your identity is someone who takes care of my health, your micro action isn't go to the gym for an hour. It's put on workout clothes or do 5 push-ups, or drink water before coffee. Something so small your brain can't resist it. Something you can do in 2 to 5 minutes. Northwestern University's Behavioral Science Department tested this extensively. They found that identity-building actions under 5 minutes have an 89% completion rate over 30 days. Actions over 15 minutes have a 31% completion rate. Make it small. Make it stupid small. Step 3. Commit to 21-day consistency. This is non-negotiable. The identity equation requires repetition. Not, I'll try for a week and see how I feel. 21 consecutive days. No exceptions. No, I'll start over Monday. Why 21? Because that's when the neural rewiring begins. That's when your brain starts accepting this is who we are instead of this is what we're trying. Days 1 to 7, you're forcing it. Feels fake. Days 8 to 14, it gets slightly easier. Still effortful. Days 15 to 21, it starts feeling natural. Identity beginning to shift. This is the science. This is the pattern every person in the 3% follows. Step 4. Collect evidence daily. Every single day, write one sentence. Today I was your identity because your action. Today I was someone who keeps commitments because I did my 5 push-ups even though I was tired. This serves 2 purposes. First, it reinforces the neural pathway. You're telling your brain, see, this is who we are. Second, it creates a proof archive. On day 15, when doubt creeps in, you can look back at 14 days of evidence that this is who you are. The Journal of Personality Research found that people who documented daily identity evidence had 4.3x stronger self-concept shifts than those who didn't document. Evidence rewrites identity. Let me show you how this plays out over 21 days. Elite versus average number 1. The first week. Average person trying to build gym habit. Day 1. Full workout, 60 minutes. Feels great. Day 2, 45 minutes. Starting to hurt. Day 3. Too sore. Skips. Day 4. I'll go tomorrow. Day 5 to 7. Doesn't go. Feels guilty. Quits. Result. 0 identity shift. Still someone who doesn't work out. Elite person using identity equation. Day 1. Puts on workout clothes. Does 5 push-ups. 2 minutes. Day 2. Puts on workout clothes. Does 5 push-ups. 2 minutes. Day 3. Puts on workout clothes. Does 5 push-ups. 2 minutes. Day 4 to 7. Same. Every day? No matter what. Result after 7 days. Neural pathway forming. I am someone who moves my body daily. See the difference? Average goes for impressive. Elite goes for consistent. Average focuses on results. Elite focuses on identity. After 21 days. Average, back to 0, trying to start again. Elite, 21 consecutive days of action, identity shift beginning, can now expand the action. Elite versus average number 2, the belief component. Average mindset. I'm trying to become someone who exercises. I want to be healthier. I should work out more. All future-oriented. All aspirational. Brain doesn't accept it as current identity. Elite mindset. I am someone who takes care of my body. Said with conviction, even on day 1. Repeated daily, regardless of evidence. Believed before it's proven. Why does this matter? Harvard Psychology Department ran an experiment. 2 groups started identical behavior change programs. Group A, told to say, I want to become someone who behavior. Group B, told to say, I am someone who behavior. After 30 days. Group A, 41% still doing the behavior. Group B, 78% still doing the behavior. Simply changing the language from future aspiration to present identity increased success rate by 90%. Your brain responds to present tense. I am is infinitely more powerful than I want to be. Here's your complete 21-day identity equation protocol. Days 1 to 7, establishment phase. Focus, prove you can be consistent. Your only job, do your micro-action every single day. No expansion, no improvement, just consistency. Daily evidence. I am identity because I action. This week is about pattern, not performance. Days 8 to 14, resistance phase. Focus, push through the motivation valley. You'll feel, this is too small to matter, or I should do more. Your response, stay with the microaction. Trust the process. This is where 97% quit. They think small means insignificant. But here's what's happening neurologically. Your brain is testing whether this is real or temporary. Every day you show up reinforces, this is real. This is who we are. Duke University's research on habit formation found that days 8 to 14 are the critical period. People who maintain consistency through this phase have an 86% chance of reaching day 21. People who skip even one day in this phase have only a 23% chance. Stay the course. Trust the equation. Days 15 to 21, integration phase. Focus. Notice the shift. You'll feel it's becoming natural. Less effort required. Your response, acknowledge the identity forming. This is who you are now. By day 21, something remarkable happens. The action requires less willpower. It feels weird not to do it. That's not discipline. That's identity. On day 22, you can expand the action if you want. But you don't have to. The identity is formed. And here's the beautiful part. Once you've proven you can make one micro-identity shift, you have the blueprint for infinite shifts. You've become someone who transforms their identity. That itself is an identity that changes everything. Let's bring the equation back. New identity equals small actions times repetition times belief divided by time. Small actions, 2 to 5 minutes maximum. Repetition, minimum 21 consecutive days. Belief, I am, present tense, not I want to be. Time, compress repetitions, daily, not sporadic. This isn't theory. This is the exact formula the 3% use, while the 97% chase motivation and big changes. Sari used this equation 7 times in 5 months. 7 micro-identity shifts, each one built on the previous. Each one compounded into total transformation. She didn't become a different person through one massive change. She became a different person through 7 small, specific, identity-focused changes that her brain actually accepted. That's the difference between trying to change and actually changing. Here's what Sarah told me on day 22 of her first micro shift. I can't explain it, but I feel different. Not because my life changed, because I changed. And now I see everything through different eyes. That's identity transformation. That's the 3%. But here's the critical question we need to answer in Chapter 4. How do you make decisions from this new identity? Because once you shift who you are, you're faced with hundreds of daily choices. And if you make those choices the way you used to, your old identity creeps back in. The 3% who sustain transformation don't just build new identity. They make decisions through a different filter. It's called the elite filter system. And it's the reason some people transform once and stay transformed, while others transform temporarily and regress. Chapter 4 reveals the exact decision-making framework elite performers use. The filter that ensures every choice reinforces your new identity instead of eroding it. Because identity isn't built once and forgotten. It's reinforced or weakened by every decision you make. And the difference between the two? That's what separates permanent transformation from temporary change. Chapter 4. The Elite Filter. How 1% Make Decisions. McKinsey found one decision pattern that separates CEOs from middle managers. Over 3 years, McKinsey and Company analyzed decision-making patterns of 1,200 executives across Fortune 500 companies. They tracked 47,000 individual decisions, from hiring choices to strategic pivots to daily priorities. They were looking for the pattern, the differentiator. What do the CEOs who reach the top do differently than the talented managers who plateau? The answer wasn't intelligence, wasn't education, wasn't even work ethic. It was a filter, a specific decision-making framework that elite performers run every choice through. The CEOs who used it made decisions that compounded into extraordinary careers. Those who didn't stayed stuck at middle management despite equal talent. Here's what's fascinating. This filter isn't taught in business schools. It's not in leadership books. It's discovered through experience by the 1% who break through, or never discovered by the 99% who don't. Until now. The filter has one question at its core. Does this decision align with who I'm becoming? Not, will this get me what I want? Not, is this the smart move? Not, what will people think? Does this align with who I'm becoming? This is character-based decision-making. And it's the reason elite performers make choices that look confusing to average people, until 5 years later when the compound effect becomes obvious. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Sarah faced a decision on day 31 of her transformation. Her boss offered her a high-visibility project. More exposure, more stress, more hours. The old Sarah would have said yes immediately, desperate for recognition, afraid to disappoint. But new Sarah ran it through the filter. I'm becoming someone who keeps commitments and maintains boundaries. This project would force me to break commitments to myself and work 70-hour weeks. Does this align with who I'm becoming? Answer, no. She declined. Her boss was surprised. Colleagues thought she was crazy, turning down visibility. 6 months later, her boss got fired for burnout-driven mistakes. The high-visibility project collapsed. 3 people who said yes were laid off. Sarah? She got promoted. Because while others were scrambling for short-term wins, she was building long-term character. And character compounds faster than credentials. Columbia Business School studied 890 professionals who made at least one character-aligned but career-risky decision. 5 years later, 78% had advanced further than their peers who always took this safe career move. Character-based decisions look risky short-term. They're safest long-term. Here's the trap most people fall into. They make decisions based on outcomes they want rather than identity they're building. Will this make me money? Will this get me promoted? Will this make me look good? All outcome-focused. All external validation. All temporary. And here's what happens. You get the outcome, but you erode your character in the process. You compromise who you're becoming for what you're getting. Then the outcome fades. Money gets spent. Promotion becomes normal. Validation disappears. And you're left with a weaker identity than you started with. This is why some people achieve external success but feel empty. They won the game but lost themselves. The elite filter flips this. Instead of asking, what will this get me? Which puts outcomes first and identity second, elite performers ask, who will this make me? Which puts identity first and trusts outcomes to follow. And here's what Stanford's Graduate School of Business discovered in their 2023 leadership study. Executives who made 80% plus of decisions through character alignment filters had 3.2x higher career satisfaction and 2.7x higher reported life fulfillment than those who made primarily outcome-based decisions. Same level of external achievement. Completely different internal experience. Let me give you the complete elite filter system. It's 3 questions you run every significant decision through. Filter question number 1. Who am I becoming? Before you decide anything, reconnect with your identity anchor. The character trait you're building. I'm becoming someone who is reliable. I'm becoming someone who is honest. I'm becoming someone who is courageous. This isn't what you want to achieve. This is who you're becoming at the character level. Get crystal clear on this before you evaluate the decision. Filter question number 2. Does this choice align with that identity? Now look at the decision through that lens. Not, is this a good opportunity? Not, what will I gain? Does this choice align with the identity I'm building? If yes, it's a character-reinforcing decision, even if it's uncomfortable. If no, it's a character-eroding decision, even if it's tempting. Yale School of Management found that people who consistently made character-aligned decisions experienced 67% less decision regret after 1 year compared to those who made outcome-optimized decisions. Less regret. Because your decisions compound into a person you respect rather than splinter into a person you don't recognize. Filter question number 3. Will future me thank present me for this? This is the long game question. 1 year from now, when you're further along in becoming this person, will you look back at this decision with pride or regret? Not immediate gratification. Long-term character impact. This question prevents short-term thinking from sabotaging long-term identity. Example from Sarah's journey. Day 67. Friend invites her to late dinner and drinks on a work night. Old Sarah says yes, people-pleasing, afraid of missing out. New Sarah runs the filter. 1. I'm becoming someone who keeps commitments to myself. 2. I committed to 8 hours sleep to show up strong tomorrow. This would break that commitment. 3. Will future me resent me? No. I'll wake up tired, resentful, and reinforcing old identity. Decision declines. Suggests lunch instead. Friend was fine. Sarah woke up rested. She reinforced her identity. Small decision. But this is how the 1% compound character while the 99% eroded through harmless compromises. Let me show you this filter in action across different scenarios. Elite versus average number 1. The tempting shortcut. Scenario. Opportunity to take credit for someone else's work. Low chance of getting caught. Career boost if you do. Average thinking. Will this benefit me? Yes. Chance of consequences? Low. Decision. Takes credit. Short-term, career boost. Long-term, eroded integrity, reinforced dishonesty. Elite filter. I'm becoming someone who is honest and earns what I get. Does taking credit align with that? No. Will future me resent me? No. Decision. Gives proper credit. Short-term, no immediate benefit. Long-term, reinforced integrity, earned respect, compound character. 5 years later. Average. Known as untrustworthy, plateaued career despite early boost. Elite. Known as person of character, continuous opportunities from reputation. Elite versus average number 2. The difficult conversation. Scenario. Team member underperforming. You need to address it. Average thinking. What's easier? Avoiding the conversation. What feels more comfortable? Letting it slide. Decision. Avoids confrontation. Result. Problem persists. Resentment builds. You compromise leadership identity. Elite filter. I'm becoming someone who addresses issues directly with respect. Does avoiding this align with that? No. Will future me resent me? Yes, if I handle it well. Decision. Has the conversation. Result. Problem addressed. Respect earned. Leadership identity reinforced. The elite filter made the harder choice the obvious choice, because the filter prioritizes character over comfort. Here's your practical elite filter implementation system. Create your filter card. Write this on a card or note in your phone. Before any significant decision. 1. Who am I becoming? Your identity anchor. 2. Does this align with that identity? 3. Will future me resent me? Define significant. Not every decision needs the full filter. That's exhausting. Use the filter for decisions that either involve your time, commitments, obligations, opportunities, affect your relationships, how you show up, what you say yes/no to, impact your resources, money, energy, attention, shape your reputation, how others see you, what you're known for. Daily micro decisions, what to eat, which route to take, don't need filtering. Character-shaping decisions do. Practice with low-stakes decisions first. Don't wait for a massive career decision to learn the filter. Practice on smaller daily choices. Friend asks to borrow money I can't afford to lend. Boss wants me to work this weekend again. Opportunity to gossip about colleague. Run these through the filter. Build the habit on decisions where the stakes are manageable. University of Chicago's Decision Research Lab found that people who practiced character-based decision frameworks on low-stakes scenarios for 30 days were 4.1x more likely to successfully apply them in high-stakes situations. Track your filter decisions. Once per week, review. How many significant decisions did I face? How many did I run through the filter? Which ones aligned with my identity? Which ones was I tempted to compromise on? This weekly audit keeps you honest. It shows you patterns, where you're strong, where you're vulnerable to character erosion. The 1% review their decisions. The 99% repeat them unconsciously. The elite filter isn't complicated. 1. Who am I becoming? 2. Does this align? 3. Will future me thank me? 3 questions. Every significant decision. This is how elite performers make choices that compound character instead of eroding it. It's why they turn down opportunities that look good but feel wrong. Why they make decisions that confuse average people. Why they seem to have internal clarity while others constantly second-guess themselves. They're not smarter. They're not luckier. They have a filter. And now you do too. Sarah told me something powerful on day 90. I used to make decisions based on fear of missing out, fear of disappointing people, fear of falling behind. Now I make decisions based on who I'm becoming. And it's like I can finally breathe. That's the power of the elite filter. It removes the noise. It clarifies the choice. It aligns every decision with your character arc. But here's what we haven't addressed yet, the elephant in the room. What happens when chaos hits? Because your internal architecture is strong. Your identity equation is working. Your elite filter is guiding your decisions. But then life punches you in the face. Crisis hits. Stability crumbles. And everything you've built feels like it's about to collapse. This is where 97% of transformations die. Not from lack of knowledge. From lack of stability systems when chaos arrives. Chapter 5 reveals what the 3% do differently when the storm hits. The stability framework that keeps you standing tall when everything around you is falling apart. Because transformation isn't just about building character when life is calm. It's about maintaining character when life is chaos. And that's what separates permanent change from temporary improvement. Chapter 5. Stand tall when the storm hits. Stability in chaos. Right now, you're one crisis away from collapse or breakthrough. Everything you've built, your internal architecture, your identity equation, your elite filter, all of it can crumble in 72 hours when chaos hits. Not because the systems don't work. Because most people never prepare for the test that matters most. Maintaining character when life falls apart. Here's what nobody tells you about transformation. Building it is hard. Maintaining it during stability is manageable. But keeping it during chaos? That's where 97% fail. Job loss, health crisis, relationship ending, financial collapse, death of someone close, betrayal, failure. The storm doesn't ask if you're ready. It just hits. And in that moment, everything you've built faces its real test. Will your character hold? Or will you revert to old patterns, old identity, old self? The 3% who sustain transformation don't just build character. They build character that can withstand chaos. And that's what this chapter is about. Let me tell you what happened to Sarah on day 94. Everything was working. Identity shift complete. New behaviors automatic. Elite filter guiding decisions. She was a different person. Then her mother had a stroke. Sudden. Severe. Sarah flew across the country. Spent 2 weeks in ICU waiting rooms, sleeping on hospital chairs, making medical decisions, managing family chaos. Her morning declarations? Forgotten. Her micro habits? Paused. Her evening evidence journal? Empty for 14 days. The storm hit, and everything stopped. When she returned home, she told me, I thought I'd lost everything. Thought I'd have to start over from day 1. But then something happened that shocked her. Day 109, her first morning back. She woke up and automatically did her morning declaration. Didn't think about it. Didn't force it. It just happened. Her body moved through her micro habits without conscious thought. The elite filter activated automatically when faced with decisions. She hadn't lost anything. The chaos had tested her character, and her character held. Why? Because weeks earlier, she'd done something that 97% never do. She'd built stability anchors before the storm hit. The University of Pennsylvania's Resilience Project tracked 1,400 people through major life crises. Those who had established stability protocols before crisis hit maintained 79% of their positive behaviors through the chaos. Those without stability protocols maintained only 11%. 79% versus 11%. The difference between collapse and breakthrough isn't what you do during the storm. It's what you built before it. Here's the myth that destroys transformations. I'll maintain my habits when things calm down. Right now, I just need to survive. This is the most dangerous lie you can tell yourself. Because here's the truth. Chaos doesn't pause your character development. It accelerates it in one direction or the other. You either use the chaos to deepen your character, proving to yourself that you're the person you've become even under pressure, or you use the chaos as permission to abandon it, proving to yourself that your transformation was conditional on perfect circumstances. Stanford's Center for Stress and Health conducted a 10-year study on life disruptions and identity stability. They found that people who maintained core behaviors during crisis emerged with 3.4x stronger self-concept than before the crisis. But people who abandoned behaviors during crisis experienced identity regression. They didn't just return to baseline. They went backwards. Chaos doesn't pause the game. It reveals who you actually are versus who you pretend to be when life is easy. The 3% understand this. They prepare for chaos. They build stability systems designed specifically for when life falls apart. Let me give you the stability anchor system. 3 non-negotiable anchors that hold you steady when everything else is chaos. Anchor number 1, the identity nucleus. This is the one micro-habit that represents your entire identity transformation. The absolute minimum action that, if you do nothing else, keeps your character intact. For Sarah, it was her morning declaration. 3 sentences, 45 seconds. That's it. Even in the hospital, even exhausted, even when her world was falling apart. 45 seconds every morning. I am someone who keeps my word. I am someone who stays present. I am someone who faces difficulty. That's her identity nucleus. The irreducible core. You need to define yours right now, before crisis hits. Ask yourself, if I could only maintain one action during chaos, what action represents my entire transformation? Not your ideal morning routine. Not all your habits. One action. 2 minutes maximum. Write it down. This is your non-negotiable. MIT's Behavioral Stability Lab found that people who maintained one nucleus habit through disruption had 6.7x higher full behavior recovery rate compared to those who tried to maintain everything or nothing. One anchor holds better than 10 aspirations. Anchor number 2, the circuit breaker. This is a predetermined pause and reset protocol. You trigger the moment you feel yourself sliding into old patterns. During crisis, you'll feel the pull. Skip the workout. Eat the comfort food. Snap at people. Avoid the uncomfortable task. Return to who you were. The circuit breaker stops the slide before it becomes a spiral. Here's the protocol. The moment you feel the pull toward old identity. 1. Stop physically, literally pause movement. 2. Say out loud, this is a test. My character is being tested right now. 3. Ask, who am I becoming? Your identity anchor. 4. Ask, what would that person do in this moment? 5. Do that thing, no matter how you feel. Takes 60 seconds. Prevents character erosion. Yale's Crisis Response Psychology Department studied 680 people using circuit breaker protocols during major life disruptions. 83% successfully prevented behavior regression. The control group, without protocols? Only 19% prevented regression. The protocol works because it interrupts automatic patterns and forces conscious choice from identity, exactly when you need it most. Anchor number 3, the evidence vault. Before chaos hits, create a document of proof. Evidence of who you've become. Write down your identity transformation story, where you started, who you are now. 20+ pieces of evidence from your proof collection. 5+ decisions you made through your elite filter. 3+ moments you stood tall when tested. This is your evidence vault. Lock it somewhere you can access during chaos. Why? Because during crisis, your brain lies to you. It says, you were never different. This transformation was fake. You're still the same person. The evidence vault is objective truth that fights the lie. When Sarah was in that hospital, exhausted and doubting herself, she read her evidence vault. 47 days of proof. Decisions she'd made. Character she'd built. The proof reminded her, this is who I am now. Not because circumstances are good. Because I chose it consistently. University of Michigan's Identity Research Lab found that people who reviewed documented identity evidence during crisis maintained positive self-concept at 4.2x higher rates than those who relied on memory alone. Memory fails during stress. Evidence doesn't. Let me show you how this plays out when chaos hits. Elite versus average number 1. The crisis response. Scenario. Major life disruption happens. Job loss. Health crisis. Relationship end. Average response. Everything is falling apart. I'll get back to my habits when things settle. Abandons all routines. Uses chaos as permission to regress. 30 days later. Back to old identity, starting over. Feels like failure. I can't maintain anything when it matters. Elite response. This is the test. Time to prove who I've become. Maintains identity nucleus, one core habit. Triggers circuit breaker when pulled toward old patterns. Reviews evidence vault when doubting. 30 days later. Character deepened through crisis. Feels empowered. I stood tall when it mattered most. The crisis was identical. The preparation made all the difference. Elite versus average number 2. Post-crisis trajectory. Average, after crisis passes. Tries to rebuild from scratch. I need to start over again. Lost weeks, months of progress. Weakened belief in ability to change. Pattern, build, crisis, collapse, rebuild, crisis, collapse. Elite, after crisis passes. Immediately returns to full behavior set. Crisis tested and proved my character. Lost nothing, gained evidence of strength. Strengthened belief in stable identity. Pattern, build, crisis, deepen, build, crisis, deepen. Same crises, different preparation. Opposite trajectories. One treats chaos as identity destroyer. Other treats chaos as identity forge. Here's your stability anchor system implementation. Step 1. Define your identity nucleus. Do this today. Answer. If I could only maintain one micro-habit during chaos, what action represents my entire transformation? Requirements. 5 minutes maximum. Doable under any circumstance. Clearly represents your identity. Write it down. This is your anchor. Step 2. Create your circuit breaker card. Write these 5 lines on a card or phone note. Circuit breaker. When I feel the pull. 1. Stop. Pause physically. 2. This is a test of my character. 3. Who am I becoming? Your identity. 4. What would that person do right now? 5. Do it. Keep this accessible. You'll need it. Step 3. Build your evidence vault. 30 minutes this week. Create a document titled Proof of Who I Am. Include your transformation journey, 3 to 5 sentences. 20 pieces of evidence from your daily proof. 5 elite filter decisions you've made. 3 moments you maintained identity under pressure. Save it. Lock it. You'll need it when crisis hits. Step 4. Run a chaos simulation. Don't wait for real chaos to test your system. Simulate it. Pick one day this week where you artificially disrupt your routine. Sleep poorly on purpose. Add extra stressors. Break your normal schedule. Then practice. Maintain only your identity nucleus. Trigger circuit breaker when tempted to skip it. Review evidence vault at end of day. Johns Hopkins School of Public Health studied emergency preparedness and found that people who practiced crisis protocols in low-stakes simulations had 5.3x better performance in actual crises. Practice in calm prepares you for storm. The stability anchor system. 3 anchors. 1. Identity nucleus. 1 core habit, 5 minutes max. 2. Circuit breaker, 5-step pause protocol, 60 seconds. 3. Evidence vault, documented proof of identity. For implementation steps. 1. Define your nucleus today. 2. Create circuit breaker card. 3. Build evidence vault this week. 4. Run chaos simulation. This is what the 3% build that the 97% never think about. Not habits for good days. Stability systems for bad ones. Because transformation isn't about who you are when life is perfect. It's about who you remain when life falls apart. Sarah sent me a message 6 months after her mother's stroke. That crisis was the greatest gift. It proved to me that I'm not pretending to be different. I am different. The storm didn't break me. It showed me I'm unbreakable. That's what stability anchors do. They don't prevent the storm. They keep you standing through it. But here's what we need to address in Chapter 6. Something that elite performers understand that average people completely miss. The power of doing less. Because right now, you might be thinking, I need to do more. Build more habits. Stack more systems. Optimize more areas. And that's exactly the trap that keeps people from ever reaching elite level. The 1% don't succeed because they do more than everyone else. They succeed because they do less, but with such precision and consistency that it compounds into extraordinary results. Chapter 6 reveals the power of silence. Why elite performers work 20% less than average but accomplish 5x more. The strategic restraint that separates peak performers from burnt-out strivers. Because standing tall isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right thing so consistently that nothing else matters. And sometimes, the most powerful action is intentional inaction. Chapter 6. The Power of Silence. Why elite do less, accomplish more. Elite performers work 20% less than average, yet accomplish 5x more. That doesn't make sense, does it? How can doing less produce more? Here's what makes it possible. Elite performers understand something that average people never learn. Something that goes against every productivity book, every hustle culture message, every do more mantra. They understand the power of strategic silence. Not laziness, not avoidance, not giving up. Strategic restraint. Intentional elimination. Disciplined focus. While average people are adding more habits, more goals, more commitments, more noise, elite performers are subtracting. They're removing everything that doesn't compound their core identity. And this subtraction, this silence, this focused restraint, it's the secret that separates sustainable transformation from burnout. Berkeley's Productivity Research Institute studied 2,300 high performers across industries. Those in the top 5% worked an average of 8.2 hours daily. The average performers? 10.4 hours daily. Top performers worked 2 hours less, but produced results valued 4.7x higher. The difference wasn't effort. It was focus. Let me show you what this looked like for Sarah. By day 120, she'd built 7 micro-identities. She was maintaining 12 different daily habits. Morning declaration, evening evidence, workout routine, reading time, meditation, journaling, meal prep, skill development, networking, side project, learning Spanish, volunteering. 12 things. Every single day. And here's what happened. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, starting to resent the very systems that had transformed her. I feel like I'm doing everything, she told me. But I don't feel like I'm becoming anything deeper. That's when I asked her one question that changed everything. If you could only keep 3 of those 12 habits, which 3 would compound your identity most powerfully? She thought for 10 minutes. Then answered. 1. Morning declaration, identity anchor. 2. Evening evidence, proof collection. 3. Strength training, physical embodiment of someone strong. What about the other 9? She asked. Eliminate them. Not forever. Just for 30 days. See what happens. She looked terrified. But won't I lose progress? You'll gain clarity. She eliminated 9 habits. Kept 3. 30 days later, she reported, I'm more transformed now than when I was doing 12 things. Because these 3? I'm doing them with 100% consistency and full presence. Before, I was doing 12 things at 60% effort, constantly stressed. Northwestern University's Cognitive Load Laboratory studied habit sustainability. People maintaining 3 to 5 core behaviors showed 91% consistency over 6 months. People attempting 10-plus behaviors showed 34% consistency. More isn't better. Better is better. And better comes from focus, not volume. Here's the trap that destroys most transformations. You build one identity. It works. So you think, if 1 is good, 3 must be better. If 3 is good, 10 must be amazing. You keep adding. More habits. More systems. More optimization. More tracking. More everything. And eventually, you collapse under the weight of your own ambition. This is the addition trap. And it's devastating because it feels like progress while it's actually dilution. You're not becoming more focused. You're becoming more scattered. You're not deepening character. You're spreading attention thin. MIT's Performance Science Group tracked 840 professionals attempting comprehensive life optimization. 89% experienced what they termed system overload burnout within 90 days. They abandoned everything because they tried to optimize everything. The 11% who succeeded? They focused on 2 to 4 core behaviors and eliminated the rest. Here's the principle elite performers understand. Character depth comes from repetition intensity, not behavior volume. It's not about how many things you do. It's about how deeply you do a few things. One habit done with 100% presence for 365 days transforms you more than 10 habits done with 40% presence for 90 days. Silence, strategic elimination, creates the space for depth. Let me give you the strategic silence framework. Principle number 1, the rule of 3. At any given time, you maintain 3 core behaviors maximum, not 12, not as many as I can handle. 3. Why 3? Stanford's behavior lab tested different behavior loads. 3 concurrent behaviors allowed for 93% average consistency, full cognitive presence during execution, sustainable indefinitely without burnout. 4 to 6 behaviors dropped consistency to 71%. 7 to 10 behaviors dropped to 42%. Over 10 behaviors dropped to 28%. 3 is the optimal load for transformation depth. Your 3 behaviors should be 1. Your identity nucleus, from Chapter 5, the anchor. 2. 1 physical behavior, movement, health, body. 3. 1 growth behavior, skill, learning, contribution. That's it. 3. Everything else is eliminated or paused. Principle number 2, elimination over addition. When tempted to add a new habit, ask, what will I eliminate to make space for this? No addition without elimination. This forces strategic thinking. It prevents the addition trap. Most people accumulate habits like they accumulate possessions, more and more and more until they're drowning. Elite performers cure it ruthlessly. Every addition requires a removal. Principle number 3, silence as strength. Doing nothing is often the most powerful action. When everyone else is scrambling to add more, optimize more, do more, your strategic silence becomes competitive advantage. You're not reactive. You're not scattered. You're not burned out. You're focused, present, sustainable, and that focus compounds into results that scattered effort never reaches. University of Chicago's decision fatigue study found that people who practiced strategic refusal, saying no to 80% of opportunities, reported 3.8x higher satisfaction and 2.9x higher achievement on core goals compared to those who said yes to 60% plus of opportunities. Silence isn't weakness. It's disciplined strength. Let me show you how this plays out in real decisions. Elite versus average number 1. The opportunity response. Scenario: new opportunity appears. Could be beneficial. Requires time and energy. Average response: this could be good. I should probably do it. Adds it to existing commitments. Now juggling 15 things instead of 14. Quality of everything drops. Eventually drops the new thing anyway. Net result: wasted energy, diluted focus. Elite response: does this align with my 3 core behaviors? If yes, what will I eliminate to make space? If no, strategic silence. I decline. Maintains 3 core behaviors with full presence. Quality of everything stays high. Net result: deepening focus, compounding character. The opportunity was identical. The response created opposite trajectories. Elite versus average number 2, the daily approach. Average day. Morning, 7 different habits, rushed through, half completed. Workday, responding to every request, attending every meeting. Evening, 5 more habits attempted, tired, inconsistent. Night, guilt about what wasn't finished. Annual result: scattered progress, burnout cycles. Elite day. Morning, 3 core behaviors, full presence, 100% consistency. Workday, strategic yes to 20% of requests, silence on 80%. Evening, review and rest, no additional habits. Night, satisfaction from depth, not volume. Annual result: profound transformation in core areas. Same 24 hours. Different philosophy. Completely different person 1 year later. Here's how to implement strategic silence. Step 1. Audit your current load. List everything you're currently trying to maintain. Daily habits. Weekly commitments. Monthly goals. Projects. Responsibilities. Be honest. Write them all down. Step 2. Apply the 3 behavior filter. From your list, identify 1. Your identity nucleus, your anchor from Chapter 5. 2. One physical behavior that embodies your identity. 3. One growth behavior that compounds your character. Everything else goes into strategic silence category. Step 3. Eliminate or pause. For everything not in your top 3, ask, is this essential right now, or am I doing it from habit, obligation, fear? If not essential, eliminate completely or pause for 90 days. This will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will scream, but what if I fall behind? What if I miss out? That's the addition trap talking. Ignore it. Harvard Business School studied strategic elimination practices. Professionals who eliminated 70% of their commitments to focus on 30% reported 4.1x higher quality in core work, 2.7x higher reported life satisfaction, 1.9x higher measured productivity in focus areas. Less, done deeply, beats more, done shallowly. Step 4. Protect your 3 with silence. Every new request, opportunity, or idea faces this filter. If I add this, what from my 3 core behaviors will suffer? If the answer is any of them, the response is silence. Strategic no. No explanation needed. No guilt required. Just, I'm not able to take that on right now. Silence protects depth. Step 5. Review quarterly. Every 90 days, reassess. Are these still my 3 core behaviors? Have they become automatic enough to expand? What's the next micro-identity to build? Strategic silence isn't permanent elimination. It's temporary focus that enables deep transformation. Once the 3 are automatic, truly automatic, you can add a 4th, but not before. The strategic silence framework. 3 principles. 1. Rule of 3. Maximum 3 concurrent core behaviors. 2. Elimination over addition. No add without remove. 3. Silence as strength. Strategic no is competitive advantage. 5 implementation steps. 1. Audit current load. List everything. 2. Apply 3 behavior filter. Identity nucleus plus physical plus growth. 3. Eliminate or pause 70% of current commitments. 4. Protect with silence. Strategic no to new requests. 5. Review quarterly. Reassess every 90 days. This is what elite performers do that average people never learn. They understand that transformation comes from depth, not breadth. And depth requires silence, space, focus, strategic restraint. While everyone else is drowning in commitment, elite performers are breathing in clarity. Sarah told me something on day 150 that captured this perfectly. Before, I was trying to be everything. Now, I'm focused on being one thing with total integrity. And somehow, that one thing is transforming everything else. That's the power of strategic silence. But here's the critical piece we need to address in Chapter 7. How do you maintain this focus when the world is obsessed with results? Because right now, everyone around you is measuring outcomes. Promotions, money, status, achievement, results. And you? You're focused on process, on character, on daily behaviors that don't produce immediate visible results. How do you stay committed to the process when everyone else is chasing outcomes? How do you resist the pressure to optimize for short-term wins when you're playing the long game? Chapter 7 reveals the unsexy truth that separates sustained excellence from temporary success, process over results. The ability to fall in love with daily repetition rather than future achievement. Because elite performers don't wake up motivated by the destination. They wake up committed to the journey. And that shift, from results obsession to process obsession, is what allows them to maintain the focus that strategic silence creates. Chapter 7. Process over results. The unsexy truth. 1 year from today, you'll look in the mirror, pride or regret. That mirror moment is inevitable. 1 year, you'll be standing there looking at yourself, and you'll feel one of 2 things. Pride. I became who I said I would. I showed up every single day. Or regret. I chased results that didn't come. I waited for proof that never arrived. I gave up when it felt like nothing was happening. Here's what determines which feeling you experience, whether you learn to love the process or stayed addicted to results. And this might be the most important chapter in this book. Because everything else, Your internal architecture, your identity equation, your elite filter, your strategic silence. All of it collapses if you can't master this one shift. Falling in love with what you do daily, regardless of what you achieve externally. Process over results. Journey over destination. Being over becoming. This is the unsexy truth that the 3% embrace while the 97% reject. Sarah hit this wall on day 63. She'd been consistent. Identity shifting. Behaviors automatic. Everything working. But then she weighed herself. No change. She checked her bank account. Same number. She looked at her title at work. Still the same. What's the point? She asked me. I'm doing everything right, but nothing's changing. I asked her, what did you do this morning? My morning declaration. My workout. My evening evidence last night. And yesterday? Same. And the day before? Same. That's what's changed. You. Your daily identity. Your character. That's the result. But I can't see it yet. Exactly. And that's the test. Here's what kills 97% of transformations. They do the process for 30, 60, 90 days. Results don't appear fast enough. So they quit. They never make it to the compound curve, the point where invisible results become visible outcomes. Stanford's long-term behavior study tracked 3,100 people attempting sustained change. Those who quit did so at an average of 67 days. Those who persisted past 120 days experienced what researchers called result emergence, the point where internal change becomes external evidence. But here's the critical finding. The people who made it to day 120 weren't more patient. They weren't waiting for results. They'd fallen in love with the process itself. They weren't doing it for results. They were doing it because it was who they were. Process obsession beats result obsession every time. Here's the brutal truth about chasing results. Results are outside your control. Process is inside your control. You can control showing up. You can't control when the outcome appears. You can control your effort. You can't control the market response. You can control your character. You can't control others' recognition. Yet most people obsess over what they can't control and neglect what they can. They check the scale daily, frustrated when it doesn't move. They refresh their bank balance, anxious about the number. They scan LinkedIn for promotions others got, bitter about being overlooked. All control placed externally. All power given away. Elite performers flip this. They obsess over what they control, their daily process. Did I show up today? Yes. Did I maintain my identity? Yes. Did I do what I said I would? Yes. That's the scoreboard. Not outcomes. Not results. Process consistency. University of Pennsylvania's Motivation Research Center found that people who measured process adherence, daily action completion, maintained behaviors at 81% consistency over 1 year. People who measured outcome achievement, weight loss, money earned, maintained behaviors at 29% consistency. Why? Because outcomes fluctuate. Markets crash. Bodies plateau. Life interferes. But process? Process is yours. Every single day, you can win the process game. And here's what's beautiful. When you win enough process days, results become inevitable. Let me give you the process obsession system. Component number 1, daily process wins. Every evening, ask one question. Did I execute my process today? Not, did I get results? Not, did I make progress? Did I execute my 3 core behaviors? From Chapter 6. If yes, you won today. Period. Full stop. If no, you didn't. Identify why. Adjust tomorrow. This reframes success from external to internal, from out of control to in control. Component number 2, the 90-day detachment. Commit to 90 days of pure process focus with zero measurement of outcomes. No scale. No bank balance checking. No comparison to others. No outcome tracking. Just process. Just showing up. Just being who you declared. Why 90 days? MIT's Behavioral Economics Lab studied outcome detachment periods. People who abstained from outcome measurement for 90-plus days while maintaining process showed 4.3x higher adherence rates, 2.8x lower anxiety levels, 6.1x higher reported satisfaction. The paradox: Detaching from results produces better results. Because you're not burning mental energy on worry. You're channeling it into consistency. Component number 3. Process pleasure cultivation. This is the elite move. Learn to derive satisfaction from the action itself, not the outcome. Enjoyment from the workout, not the weight loss. Satisfaction from the work, not the promotion. Pride from showing up, not the recognition. How? Mindful presence during the process. When doing your 3 core behaviors, be fully there. Notice the sensation. Appreciate the action. Acknowledge. This is the transformation. Right now. This moment. Not waiting for future payoff. This is the payoff. Component number 4. The character scorecard. Track only this. Days you maintained your 3 core behaviors. X 30. Days you made elite filter decisions. Y 30. Days you showed up despite resistance. Z 30. That's your scorecard. Character consistency, not outcome achievement. After 30 days, you'll see 27:30, 24:30, 28:30. That's success. That's proof. Not external results, internal integrity. Elite versus average number 1. The measurement difference. Average obsession. Daily weight checks. Frustration when no change. Constant income monitoring. Anxiety about numbers. Social comparison scrolling. Bitterness about others' success. Result focus. Emotional volatility based on external factors. Outcome. Inconsistent behavior. Eventual quitting. Elite obsession. Daily process check. Satisfaction from showing up. Monthly financial review only. Trust in compound effect. Zero social comparison. Focus on own character. Process focus. Emotional stability based on internal control. Outcome. Consistent behavior. Inevitable results. Same goals. Different focus. Opposite emotional experience. Average lives in anxiety. Waiting for results. Elite lives in peace. Trusting the process. Elite versus average number 2. The 90-day response. Scenario. 90 days of consistent action. No visible results yet. Average response. This isn't working. I should try something else. Quits at day 90, right before compound curve. Switches to new system, restarts clock. Pattern repeats for years. Never reaches compound payoff. Elite response. Process is working. Results compound invisibly before visible. Continues past day 90, trusts the math. Knows. Day 120 is where emergence happens. Stays the course, doubles down on process. Reaches compound payoff at day 150 to 180. The difference? Elite understands delayed gratification isn't delayed success. It's invisible success becoming visible. Here's your process obsession implementation. Step 1. Eliminate outcome measurement for 90 days. Choose 3 outcomes you're currently obsessing over. Weight body measurements. Income account balances. Status comparison metrics. For 90 days. No checking. None. Step 2. Install daily process wins. Every evening, journal 1 line. Process win today? Yes, no. Evidence, what I did. Example, process win, yes. Evidence, did all 3 core behaviors despite wanting to skip. Step 3. Practice process pleasure. During each core behavior, pause for 10 seconds. Notice what you're doing. Appreciate that you're showing up. Think. This moment is the transformation, not preparation for transformation. The transformation itself. Step 4. Create your character scorecard. Track only. X 30 days. Maintained 3 core behaviors. Y 30 days. Made elite filter decisions. Z 30 days. Showed up despite resistance. Nothing else. No outcomes. Just character consistency. Step 5. The 120-day commitment. Commit to 120 days of pure process obsession before evaluating any outcomes. Why 120? Because that's where Stanford's study showed result emergence begins. Put it on your calendar. Day 120, first outcome evaluation allowed. Until then, process only. Duke University's Commitment Psychology Lab found that people who made time-specific process commitments, 90 to 120 days, showed 7.2x higher completion rates than those with open-ended, until I see results commitments. Time-bound process focus beats outcome-obsessed indefinite hope. Process over results. For components, 1. Daily process wins, did I execute? 2. 90-day detachment, 0 outcome measurement. 3. Process pleasure cultivation, love the action itself. 4. Character scorecard, track consistency only. 5. Implementation steps. 1. Eliminate outcome measurement, 90 days. 2. Install daily process wins, journal. 3. Practice process pleasure, 10-second pauses. 4. Create character scorecard, track 3 metrics. 5. 120-day commitment, before first evaluation. This is the unsexy truth. Transformation happens in the boring middle. The place where no one's watching, nothing seems to be changing, and the only thing you have is your commitment to the process. Elite performers live there comfortably. Average people can't tolerate it. 1 year from now, you'll look in that mirror, and the feeling you experience, pride or regret, is being decided right now by your relationship with process versus results. Sarah reached day 180. Results had emerged by then: promotion, physical transformation, relationship improvements. But she told me something profound. The results are nice, but they're not why I keep going. I keep going because I love being someone who keeps their word to themselves. The process became who I am. That's when you've made it. When process isn't something you do, it's someone you are. But here's what we haven't addressed yet: the tactical level. How do you actually design these small daily actions? You understand character. You understand identity. You understand process. But what specific actions create the most powerful compound effect? Chapter 8 reveals microhabits, the elite's secret weapon. The science of designing tiny actions that seem insignificant but compound into massive character transformation. Because all this philosophy means nothing without practical tactics. And Chapter 8 gives you the exact blueprint. Chapter 8, Microhabits, the elite's secret weapon. MIT's 20-year study proved it's not what you do, it's how small. From 2003 to 2023, MIT's Department of Brain and Cognitive Sciences tracked 4,700 people attempting behavior change. They measured habit formation across every size: massive transformations, moderate changes, tiny actions. The findings shocked even the researchers. Actions under 2 minutes had an 88% success rate after 6 months. Actions between 2 to 10 minutes had a 54% success rate. Actions over 10 minutes had a 19% success rate. The smaller the action, the higher the success rate. Not slightly higher, exponentially higher. This is the microhabit principle, and it's the elite's secret weapon that average people completely misunderstand. Average people think small actions produce small results. Elite people know small actions produce consistent execution, which produces massive compound results. The size of the action matters less than the consistency of repetition. And consistency only happens when the action is too small to fail. Sarah discovered this principle by accident on day 41. She'd been doing her morning declaration, 3 identity statements, said out loud. It took 45 seconds and worked perfectly. Then she tried to level up. She added visualization exercises, gratitude journaling, affirmations, and meditation. Her morning routine became 20 minutes. Day 42, did 15 minutes, rushed through, felt incomplete. Day 43, did 8 minutes, too tired, skipped parts. Day 44, didn't do it, too much time, too much resistance. Day 45, guilty, tried again, felt like failure. She'd killed her consistency by making it bigger. I asked, what if you went back to the 45-second version? But that feels too small now. Like I'm not trying hard enough. That's exactly why it works. She went back to 45 seconds. Consistency returned immediately. By day 90, that 45-second action had rewired her identity more powerfully than the 20-minute version ever could have, because she did it 50 times while the bigger version got done 7 times. 50 repetitions at 45 seconds beats 7 repetitions at 20 minutes. Stanford's Habit Formation Lab calls this the too small to fail principle. Actions designed so small that resistance cannot prevent execution. When the action is 2 minutes or less, your brain can't mount enough resistance to stop it. When it's 20 minutes, resistance wins. University of Chicago's Behavioral Science Department found that micro-habits, under 2 minutes, had 6.9x higher long-term adherence than macro-habits, over 10 minutes. Small isn't a compromise. Small is the strategy. Here's why people resist micro-habits. They confuse the action size with the transformation size. If I only do 5 push-ups, how will I ever get strong? If I only write for 2 minutes, how will I finish a book? If I only meditate for 60 seconds, how will I become mindful? They're thinking in action-result terms. Elite performers think in action-identity terms. 5 push-ups don't make you strong. 5 push-ups make you someone who moves their body daily. That identity makes you strong. 2 minutes of writing doesn't finish a book. 2 minutes of writing makes you someone who writes. That identity finishes books. 60 seconds of meditation doesn't create enlightenment. 60 seconds creates someone who practices presence. That identity develops mindfulness. The micro-habit isn't the destination. It's the identity vehicle. And here's what elite performers understand. You can always expand a micro-habit after it becomes automatic. But you can rarely sustain a macro-habit that starts big. Start smaller than feels right. Expand only after consistency is effortless. Let me give you the micro-habit design blueprint. Rule number 1, the 2-minute maximum. Your micro-habit must be completable in 2 minutes or less. Ideally 30 to 90 seconds. Not workout. Put on workout clothes. Not meditate 20 minutes. Take 3 conscious breaths. Not write 1,000 words. Write 1 sentence. Why? Because you're not building the behavior. You're building the identity of someone who does the behavior. Once the identity is solid, 21 plus days of consistency, the behavior naturally expands. But identity must come first. Rule number 2, the immediate proof principle. Your micro-habit must provide immediate proof that you are the identity, not that you're trying to become it. Bad. I'm trying to become someone who exercises. Good. I am someone who moves my body. Proof. I just did 5 push-ups. The proof must be immediate and undeniable. The action must be so simple that completion equals identity confirmation. Northwestern University's Identity Research Lab found that immediate proof actions created 4.7x faster neural identity integration than delayed proof actions. Rule number 3, the ridiculously easy test. Your micro-habit should be so easy it feels embarrassingly simple. If it feels challenging, it's too big. If it feels adequate, it's too big. If it feels almost insulting in its simplicity, it's right-sized. 1 push-up? That's stupid. 1 sentence? That won't accomplish anything. 3 breaths? What's the point? That resistance is your ego protecting the old identity. Ignore it. Go embarrassingly small. Rule number 4, the expansion gate. You may only expand your micro-habit after 21 consecutive days of 100% consistency. Not 18 days. Not mostly consistent. 21 perfect days. Why? Because that's when neural pathways solidify. That's when identity shifts from trying to being. Before day 21, keep it micro. After day 21, you can expand if desired, but you don't have to. Often, the micro-habit is enough. Sarah still does her 45-second morning declaration at day 300. Never expanded it. Doesn't need to. Rule number 5, stack after identity, not before. Don't stack multiple micro-habits until the first one is automatic, minimum 21 days. 1 at a time. Identity solidified. Then add next if desired. Trying to stack 3 micro-habits simultaneously dilutes focus. Even micro-habits require mental bandwidth. Sequential is better than simultaneous. Elite versus average number 1. The design approach. Average approach, macro-habit. I'll work out 1 hour daily. Day 1 to 3. Does it, feels accomplished. Day 4 to 7. Starting to feel hard. Day 8. Skips once, too tired. Day 9 to 30. Sporadic at best. Day 60. Quit entirely. Identity. Still someone who doesn't work out. Elite approach, micro-habit. I'll put on workout clothes daily. Day 1 to 21. Does it? Builds identity. Day 22 plus. Often continues into actual workout, not required. Day 60. 60-60 consistency. Workouts natural extension. Day 120. Automatic, no resistance. Identity. Someone who moves their body, solidified. The elite version produced superior results not through bigger action, but through smaller, consistent identity building. Elite versus average number 2. The expansion timing. Average pattern. Starts with 2-minute habit. Day 3. This is too easy. I should do more. Expands to 10 minutes. Day 8. Too hard. Skips. Consistency breaks. Guilt cycle begins. Elite pattern. Starts with 2-minute habit. Day 3. Feels too easy, but maintains anyway. Day 21. Identity solidified. Could expand. Day 30. Still maintains 2 minutes. Doesn't need more. Day 365. 2 minutes still working perfectly. Elite trusts the process. Average doubts the simplicity. Here's how to design your micro-habits. Step 1. Identify your desired identity. From your 3 core behaviors, Chapter 6, pick one to micro-habitize first. Example: I want to be someone who takes care of my body. Step 2. Shrink to ridiculous. What's the smallest possible action that proves this identity? Not 45-minute workout. Try 10 push-ups. Still too big. Try 5 push-ups. Still too big. Try. Put on workout clothes. That's it. That's your micro-habit. Step 3. Test the 2-minute rule. Can you complete this action in 2 minutes, anywhere, anytime, regardless of circumstances? If no, shrink further. If yes, this is your micro-habit. Step 4. Commit to 21 perfect days. Mark a calendar. 21 consecutive days. No skips. No excuses. The action is so small that perfection is achievable. That's the point. Yale's consistency research group found that 21-day perfect streaks on micro-habits created 8.3x stronger identity formation than 21-day mostly consistent attempts on larger habits. Perfection on micro beats inconsistency on macro. Step 5. Resist expansion until day 22. This is the hardest rule. Your ego will beg to expand. Resist. Day 5. I should do more. Day 10. This feels pointless. Day 15. I'm ready for bigger. Answer. Day 21. Not before. Trust the science. Let identity solidify before expanding. Step 6. Evaluate at day 22. After 21 perfect days, ask, do I want to expand, or is this micro-habit sufficient? Often, it's sufficient. The micro-habit has created the identity. The identity naturally produces bigger behaviors without forcing them. If you do expand, only by 50%. Never double. Gradual always beats dramatic. Micro-habit design blueprint. 5 rules. 1. 2-minute maximum. 30 to 90 seconds ideal. 2. Immediate proof principle. Instant identity confirmation. 3. Ridiculously easy test. Embarrassingly simple. 4. Expansion gate. Day 22 minimum. 5. Stack after identity, one at a time. 6 implementation steps. 1. Identify desired identity, 1 to start. 2. Shrink to ridiculous, smallest possible proof. 3. Test 2-minute rule, completable anywhere. 4. 21 perfect days, no skips. 5. Resist expansion until day 22. 6. Evaluate day 22. Expand 50% or maintain. This is how elite performers build unshakable identity, not through heroic effort, but through micro-actions executed with perfect consistency. Sarah's transformation was built on 45-second morning declarations, 2-minute movement sessions, and 30-second evening evidence entries. Nothing impressive, nothing Instagram-worthy, nothing to brag about. But 200 days of these micro-actions? That created a completely different person. Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. How do these tiny actions compound into extraordinary transformation? You've learned the micro-habits. You understand process over results. You've built your systems. But the math of compounding, The actual mechanics of how 1% daily improvements become 37x better in 1 year. That's what Chapter 9 reveals. The compound effect isn't just philosophy. It's mathematics. And once you understand the formula, you'll never doubt your micro-habits again. Because Chapter 9 proves, with actual numbers, why small becomes unstoppable. Chapter 9. The compound effect. How small becomes unstoppable. 1% daily improvement equals 37x better in 1 year. Here's the math. Harvard Business School's quantitative analysis team calculated something remarkable. If you improve by just 1% every single day for 365 days, you don't end up 365% better. You end up 3,778% better. That's 37.78 times better than where you started. The formula, 1.01 carat 365 equals 37.78. This isn't motivation. This isn't metaphor. This is mathematics. And it explains why elite performers who make tiny daily improvements over years end up in a completely different universe than average people who make sporadic large improvements. It's not that elite work harder. It's that they understand exponential growth while average people think linearly. Average expects 1% daily equals 365% annual improvement, addition. Reality delivers. 1% daily equals 3,778% annual improvement, multiplication. That's the compound effect. And once you understand the math, you'll never doubt your micro-habits again. Let me show you this visually because the numbers are shocking. Day 1, you start at 1.00, baseline. Day 30, 1% daily improvement equals 1.35, 35% better. Day 90, 1% daily improvement equals 2.45, 145% better. Day 180, 1% daily improvement equals 6.00, 500% better. Day 365, 1% daily improvement equals 37.78, 3,678% better. Now look at what happens with 1% daily decline. Day 1, start at 1.00. Day 30, 0.99 carat 30 equals 0.74, 26% worse. Day 90, 0.99 carat 90 equals 0.40, 60% worse. Day 180, 0.99 carat 180 equals 0.16, 84% worse. Day 365, 0.99 carat 365 equals 0.03, 97% worse. Same percentage, same time period, opposite trajectories. The person improving 1% daily and the person declining 1% daily are living in completely different realities after 1 year. One is 37x better. The other is nearly obliterated. Sarah understood this on day 150. She mapped her micro-habits. 45-second morning declaration, 1% identity clarity. 2-minute movement, 1% physical capability. 30-second evidence, 1% self-awareness. Each day, 3% total compound improvement across 3 identity dimensions. After 150 days at 3% daily, she wasn't 450% better. She was exponentially transformed. Unrecognizable from day 1. MIT's Mathematics of Behavior Change Lab verified this with real data. People maintaining 1% daily improvements in 2 to 3 microbehaviors showed identity transformation markers 24-40x stronger after 1 year compared to baseline. Not 2x, not 5x, 24 to 40 times stronger. That's not linear improvement. That's exponential transformation. Here's why most people quit before experiencing compound growth. The curve is deceptive. For the first 100 days, improvement feels linear, barely noticeable. Day 1 to 30, 1.00 to 1.35 feels like slow progress. Day 31 to 60, 1.35 to 1.82, starting to notice something. Day 61 to 90, 1.82 to 2.45. Okay, this is working. But most people quit around day 60 to 70 because the results don't match their effort input. They're putting in 100% effort daily and seeing maybe 2x results. This isn't worth it, they think. They quit. And they quit right before the magic happens. Day 91 to 180. 2.45 to 6.00. Holy shit, everything's changing. Day 181 to 270. 6.00 to 14.73. This is exponential now. Day 271 to 365. 14.73 to 37.78. I'm a different person. The invisible middle, days 60 to 120, is where compound interest is working hardest but showing least. It's the period where future massive growth is being built but can't be seen yet. Elite performers understand this. They trust the math during the invisible middle. Average people trust their eyes, see linear growth, and quit. Stanford's behavioral persistence study tracked 2,800 people attempting daily improvements. 78% quit between days 55 to 85. The 22% who persisted past day 100 experienced what researchers called exponential emergence, the point where compound growth becomes viscerally obvious. But you have to survive the invisible middle to reach exponential emergence. Let me give you the compound thinking framework. Principle number 1. Trust the math, not the mirror. Your eyes lie during the invisible middle. The mirror shows linear change. The math shows exponential growth building beneath the surface. When day 70 feels like nothing's happening, remind yourself, the compound curve is accumulating. Day 150 will prove it. This is why the Evidence Vault, Chapter 5, matters. You need objective data showing day 1 versus day 70. The difference is there. You just can't see it yet in final outcomes. Principle number 2. Negative compounds faster than positive. Notice the asymmetry in those numbers. 1% improvement daily equals 37.78x after 365 days. 1% decline daily equals 0.03x after 365 days. Negative compounds to near zero. Positive compounds to extraordinary. 1 day of decline doesn't matter. 7 consecutive days of decline starts a dangerous curve. 30 days of decline puts you in serious regression territory. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Missing 1 day doesn't break you, but a pattern of missing creates negative compound momentum. University of Pennsylvania's Regression Analysis Lab found that 3 consecutive days of behavior abandonment created negative compound acceleration. Subsequent days became progressively easier to skip. Protect your streak, especially days 1 to 21. The compound foundation is built there. Principle number 3. Stack compounds multiply. When you maintain multiple micro-habits, Chapter SIXS 3 core behaviors, the compounds don't add, they multiply. 1 micro-habit, 1.01 carat 365 equals 37.78x. 2 micro-habits, 1.01 carat 2 carat 365 equals 1 for 27x. 3 micro-habits, 1.01 carat 3 carat 365 equals 53.908x. This is theoretical maximum, of course. Real life isn't perfect math, but the principle holds. Multiple micro-habits create multiplicative, not additive, transformation. Sarah's 3 micro-habits, identity plus physical plus awareness, didn't make her 3x better. They made her exponentially transformed across 3 dimensions simultaneously. Principle number 4. Time is the multiplier. The compound effect isn't powerful at day 30. It's barely visible at day 90. It's beginning to show at day 180. It's undeniable at day 365. And at day 730, 2 years? 1.01 carat 730 equals 1 for 27x. At day 1095, 3 years? 1.01 carat 1095 equals 53.908x. Time is the multiplier that turns tiny actions into extraordinary transformation. Elite performers play infinite games. They're not optimizing for 90-day results. They're optimizing for 3-year, 5-year, 10-year compound curves. This is why they win. Not superior daily actions. Superior time horizon. Elite versus average number 1. The time horizon. Average thinking. I've been doing this 60 days. Where are my results? Quits at day 67, right before exponential emergence. Tries new system, restarts clock at day 1. Never experiences compound growth. 5 years later, still at baseline, trying system number 47. Elite thinking. I'm 60 days into a 365-day compound curve. Trusts math during invisible middle. Maintains through day 100, 200, 365. Experiences exponential emergence. 5 years later, 53,000x, transformed in core dimensions. Same daily effort. Different time horizon. Completely different life. Elite versus average number 2. The measurement. Average measurement. Checks outcomes daily, weight, money, status. Sees linear progress, frustration. Doesn't trust the process. Quits when linear doesn't match effort. Elite measurement. Checks process daily, did I show up? Sees consistency streak, satisfaction. Trusts compound math. Maintains regardless of visible outcomes. One measures what's outside their control. Other measures what's inside their control. One experiences anxiety. Other experiences peace. And paradoxically, the one who stops measuring outcomes gets better outcomes. Here's how to apply compound thinking. Step 1. Calculate your compound potential. For each of your 3 micro-habits, estimate the daily improvement. Morning declaration, 1% identity clarity. Movement practice, 1% physical capability. Evidence collection, 1% self-awareness. Total, 3% daily compound across identity, body, and awareness. After 365 days, not 3x better. Exponentially transformed. Step 2. Visualize your 365-day self. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself 365 days from now after 3% daily compound improvement. Not a little better. 37x better in 3 core dimensions. What does that person look like? How do they carry themselves? What's different about their energy, their decisions, their life? That's not fantasy. That's mathematical projection. Step 3. Trust the invisible middle. Mark days 60 to 120 on your calendar. Invisible middle. Trust the math. When you hit this period and feel like nothing's happening, read that note. Remind yourself, compound growth is building beneath visibility. Keep showing up. Step 4. Protect the streak. Your compound curve lives or dies on consistency. 1 missed day equals negligible impact. 3 consecutive missed days equals negative compound begins. 7 consecutive missed days equals serious regression risk. Protect the streak, especially in the invisible middle. Step 5. Extend your time horizon. Stop thinking in 30-day blocks. Start thinking in 365-day curves. Ask, what will 1% daily improvement in this area create 1 year from now? Then, what will 3 years create? The answer should excite and terrify you. That's compound growth. The compound effect isn't philosophy. It's mathematics. 1.01 carat 365 equals 37.78x. 3 micro-habits compounding daily for 1 year equals transformation that looks impossible to those thinking linearly. Sarah reached day 365. She did the calculation. 365 morning declarations. 365 movement sessions. 365 evidence entries. That's 1,095 small actions, each one worth perhaps 1% in isolation. But compounded together, she wasn't 1,095% better. She was exponentially transformed. Different person, different life, different trajectory. Not because any single day was magical. Because 365 days of 1% created mathematical inevitability. And now we arrive at the final chapter. The integration. The complete system. You understand character building. You understand identity shifts. You understand micro-habits. You understand compound growth. But understanding isn't transformation. Application is transformation. Chapter 10 brings everything together. Your elite character blueprint. The complete integration of every principle, every system, every insight from these 9 chapters. It's not new information. It's activation. The moment you stop learning and start being. The moment you stop trying to transform and realize the transformation already happened. You just need to step fully into it. Chapter 10 is your graduation, your stand tall moment. The moment you claim, this is who I am now, and I'm ready. Chapter 10, your elite character blueprint, the complete integration. 365 days from now, you'll be either the same person or unrecognizable. The choice happens today. We've reached the end. 9 chapters of principles, systems, and frameworks. 9 chapters of science-backed strategies that the 3% use while the 97% stay stuck. 9 chapters of what Sarah discovered during her 365-day transformation. But here's what matters now. None of it means anything unless you integrate it. Understanding is not transformation. Reading is not becoming. Knowledge is not character. The 97% who fail, they understand everything. They've read all the books. They know the principles. They just never integrate them into a complete system. The 3% who transform, they take scattered knowledge and build it into an unshakable architecture. They don't just learn, they become. That's what this final chapter is about. Integration. Your complete elite character blueprint. Not new information. Complete activation. Let me show you what happened to Sarah on day 365. She woke up at 5:47 a.m., 13 minutes before her alarm. Not because she was anxious, because her body had adapted to her new identity. She was someone who rises early now. She lay in bed for a moment and did what she'd done 364 consecutive times before, her morning declaration. I am someone who keeps my word. I am someone who faces difficulty. I am someone who shows up regardless of feelings. 45 seconds. Same as day 1. Then she smiled. Not because the day would be easy, but because she knew something 97% of people never discover. She wasn't trying to be that person anymore. She was that person. 365 days of 1% improvements. 365 evidence entries. 365 proofs of character. The compound math had done its work. 37.78x transformation across 3 dimensions. But more importantly, the identity shift was complete. She didn't hope to become different. She had become different. Let me walk you through her day so you can see the complete system in action. 6 a.m. Identity Nucleus. Sarah's 2-minute movement ritual. Not a full workout, just her micro-habit. 10 push-ups, 10 squats, 10 lunges. Same as day 30. Never expanded because expansion wasn't necessary. The micro-habit had done its job. She was someone who moved her body daily. The identity was solid. Full workouts happen naturally now, not because she forced them, but because that's what her identity demanded. This is the micro-habit principle. Small actions build identity, and identity drives everything. 7:30 a.m. The elite filter in action. Sarah gets an email. Emergency meeting at 2 p.m. Old Sarah would have said yes instantly. New Sarah pauses and runs her 3 questions. Who am I becoming? Does this align with my commitments? Will future me be glad I chose this? She already reserved 2 to 4 p.m. for deep work. Her reply is calm. I have a prior commitment. Send notes or reschedule. One choice, identity reinforced. 12 p.m., integrity check. She asks, am I being who I said I'd be this morning? Workout done. Boundaries kept. Deep work protected. Alignment confirmed. 2 p.m., process over results. She writes a proposal that might get rejected, but her only focus is, am I showing up fully? Am I doing my best work? Results don't shape her identity. Her identity shapes her results. 4:30 p.m., circuit breaker. Feedback arrives, needs revision. Old Sarah would spiral. New Sarah pauses. This is a test of character. She receives feedback with grace and improves the work. Stability restored. 7 p.m., strategic silence. A friend invites her to a networking event. Old Sarah, automatic yes. New Sarah, does this align with my priorities? No. Will it dilute my focus? Yes. She declines respectfully and protects her core behaviors. 9 p.m., evidence journal. 1 sentence. Today I kept my word. It's her 365th proof. Small actions times repetition times belief times time equals identity. 9:30 p.m. Reflection. A year ago, she was driven by emotion, fear, and inconsistency. Today, she makes identity-based decisions, protects her focus, trusts the process, and uses micro-habits that never fail. And her results shifted automatically. Promotion, higher income, stronger relationships, better health. Not because she chased outcomes, but because she became someone who naturally produces them. Here's the revelation. When you fix who you are, what you get fixes itself. The 97% chase results. The 3% build character, and results follow.